First, I'm going to just introduce myself. I think you probably all know who I am. You get lots of emails from me, maybe some videos. I'm Kristen Crosby. I'm the Director of International Admission at Ohio Wesleyan. So if any of your parents or family members are in the background and they don't know me yet, hello. I'm very excited to be connecting with all of you. Congratulations on your acceptance to Ohio Wesleyan. I know that you've worked really hard over these last few years in high school, especially during a time that probably has been one of the most challenging times for high school students. So you're really to be commended and congratulated for all that you have endured, put up with, and hopefully now you can kind of rest and relax and sit back and just enjoy the good news that's coming in and take some control in your life by making your college decision in a time where so much is out of control, beyond our control. But I am going to suggest that if you feel comfortable dropping your name in the chat box, if you want to share more than that, where you're from or what you're interested in majoring in, if you want to share your contact details. Everybody on this Zoom is an admitted student, so your future classmates are here if you do end up enrolling at Oh-Wooo. And I'm going to be giving a short little PowerPoint. I am waiting for a current student or two to join. One of them had class, and I'm also waiting for our international student advisor to join, and she had to get her children on the bus. So they'll be joining soon. But with that, I'm going to get started and see, I think I'm already sharing my screen. So welcome to Oh-Wooo. And congratulations. We know you probably have had some wonderful offers from universities around the world. I'm thrilled that you're here, and it means that you're interested in Ohio Wesleyan and you're giving some serious thought to enrolling, but you're probably still making up your mind. And we understand that. So the point of this PowerPoint is really to just kind of talk about the next steps. And you can think of these as next steps at Ohio Wesleyan, and probably some similar next steps if you were enrolling at a different university, although of course we hope that you'll be ending up at Oh-Wooo. We really found you to be a great match for us, and we feel confident that you can do great things on our campus. So I'm going to just kind of dive in here and talk about what's next. And I might come back to some of these topics as folks from Oh-Wooo join. And whenever you have questions, feel free to type your questions in the chat box. And also, if anybody feels comfortable sharing their video, go ahead and do that. And if you don't feel comfortable sharing your video, that is fine. So in terms of what's next, well, over the next month or so, you'll be hearing your final decisions from colleges and universities, maybe not all of them if there's some other countries that let you know later. But in the United States, we all have a common deadline to let students know, which is May 1. So you're absolutely welcome to take all the time that you need between now and May 1 to think it over. I know it was a long time ago when I made my decision, but I still remember that it felt really monumental and almost scary to make the decision, the commitment on where to enroll. So, take the time that you need, talk it over with your parents, friends, counselor, but ultimately it's really about finding the right fit and right match university. And it's all about what you want. It's about where you feel most comfortable. So over the next month, if you need to reach out to us with questions, if you need us to put you in touch with current students or our international advisor, just contact me with your questions and I'm happy to get those questions answered. And then once you do decide where you're going to enroll, The first thing is to let the university know, but also let the other universities you've applied to know that you won't be attending. So that way they're not still reaching out to you. And you're not hurting our feelings if you tell us that you're not coming. I really hope that you do come, but I understand that it is about a match. It is about a fit. And so our feelings won't be hurt if you end up choosing somewhere else. But for that, I'm going to go ahead and launch into some of the things that will happen next if you do plan to come to Ohio Wesleyan. And I just want to give a shout out to my colleague, Tanique, who is in the audience. She's just going to be here in case there are questions or listening. And all right, so let's talk about what's next. So once you decide your final decision, you want to log into your portal. Some of you have been great about logging into your portal regularly. And I'm going to pause for a minute. We've just been joined by Lisa Ho, who is one of our key members at Oh-Wooo, who works really closely with international students, ensuring a great smooth transition, but she also works in the Office of International and Off-Campus Programs. So she does a lot with the Oh-Wooo connection, studying abroad. So she's a great resource. And she's been at Ohio Wesleyan for quite a few years. So she's an expert on life at Oh-Wooo. So Lisa, you haven't missed anything. I am on the first topic on what's next once they make their decision about where to enroll. And Lisa or Tanique, you're welcome to just chime in, either unmute yourself or type in the chat box if you want to add any comments while I'm talking. And in a couple of minutes, we'll hopefully be joined by 2 current Oh-Wooo students too. All right, so the first step, once you've decided on your enrollment plans, is to log into your portal. And some of you are great at logging into your portal regularly and checking up the updates. And I know that there are some of you in the audience who might be thinking, there's a portal? How did I miss that? So I would say, it's not just about checking to see what's missing from your application, but there's really a lot of updates that you can get. So even before you decide where you're going to enroll, you might want to just log back into your portal, and you can, as you see, get information on your major. There's other ways that you can discover Oh-Wooo. If you were planning a campus visit, you could schedule one over here. And there's even more as you scroll down your portal. But the most important thing, if you want to check back and review your financial aid and offer letter, you can click on the view update and it will pop up. And then if you do plan on enrolling at Ohio Wesleyan, you'll want to submit your enrollment deposit. And if you decide either that you need to defer for a semester or a year, or if your plans are taking you somewhere else, we still would love you to log in and fill out this response form, which tells us either where you do plan to enroll or if you need to defer for a semester or for a year. All right, so that's your first step. Then let's just assume that you're coming to Oh-Wooo and you need to know what's happening now that you've committed to Ohio Wesleyan. So you'll be getting emails from us. And one of the most important first emails that you'll get is from Web Admin. And you'll get it within about 24 to 48 hours after you submit your deposit. It's important that you even look in your spam folder and your junk folder, because you'll need to activate your Oh-Wooo email account. And the email account from Oh-Wooo is where we're going to be sending a lot of your correspondence. And the most important thing that you'll be receiving is the new student checklist and regular updates called New at Oh-Wooo. So there's a website for new students, and it's got a convenient little list of things that you need to keep track of over the summer. There's even an app for new student checklists. And if at any time you feel overwhelmed or not sure how to fill something out, or you feel like you've missed some information, you can always reach out to Brad Pulsini and the help desk if you didn't get your web admin information. All right, any questions? Oh, looks like there's lots of questions in the chat box, although they just might be introductions. Okay, no questions so far. So the second step, you're probably going to be thinking about the visa. So if any of you in the audience are non-US citizens and you're going to need your visa to get into the United States, that's probably going to be the second thing that you're thinking about. And very soon after you commit to Ohio Wesleyan, you'll get an email from us detailing 4 items that you'll need to submit so that we can start preparing the visa for you. And you don't have to keep track of this right now, but your passport page, there's a form called the I-20 issuance form, and that just helps us double check that we've got everything correct, like your name and date of birth and that biographical information. We also need to verify that you have the finances combined with the scholarship you've received and whatever source you'll be using to be able to afford your first year at Oh-Wooo. And this isn't just an Oh-Wooo requirement, it's the case with all colleges and universities in the United States. So you may need to submit a certificate of finances form and a bank statement. We could also possibly use your financial aid form, but don't worry about all that right now. This is just sort of a glimpse of what the next step is to get your visa. Lisa, would you like to talk about some of the next steps with applying online for the DS-160 or anything else like that?
Yes, good morning, everyone. So great to meet you. So after you've submitted everything and you're ready to apply for your DS-1 or apply through the DS-160 for your visa, then go ahead and go on to the Study in the States website and follow the instructions there. You will have to submit your payment, your application fee, and then once you've submitted everything, Kristen, this is where I'm a little foggy on this because it's been a minute since we've done this, but then you'll receive a notification and we will send you electronically your I-20 in the mail, which you will also need for your visa appointment. So once you've made your payment online and you received your I-20, then you can schedule your appointment for your visa. Casey, anything that I've forgotten in my early morning foggy brain? Feel free to comment.
The great news for all of you is that I believe you will no longer be required to have the paper copy of the Form I-20 and that it is all electronic. And once you get that number, you can schedule your visa appointment. And the good news for you is that the F1 processing time is shorter than other visas. So you kind of get to jump the queue over people who are going for tourist visas or work visas. And if you are concerned about how long it's going to take, I will be sharing this link later, but there is a link where you can go and check the wait time at your embassy. And, you know, it might be a matter of days, it might be a matter of weeks. The better, the sooner you can get this accomplished, the better. But, you know, don't panic too much. Our students, for the most part, don't have issues getting their visas. And, you know, we're here to guide you. And whenever you have questions, concerns, or a need, just reach out to us. I will be creating a WhatsApp group for all of the students who do end up enrolling at Oh-Wooo. And there will be some current students and Lisa and Daryl Albon. And so over the summer, whenever you have questions, you'll be able to just pose them in the WhatsApp group and get an answer pretty quickly. All right. So once you've gotten your visa or your visa is kind of in the works, you'll begin to think about what happens over the summer, getting ready to come to Oh-Wooo, packing, saying goodbye to friends, and then arriving to campus. And I know it probably seems a little bit far off in the future and certainly scary, maybe just intimidating, but maybe even a little bit scary to think about leaving everybody and coming alone to the United States. Even if your parents are with you, they'll be leaving you at some point. But the good news is you are coming to a really friendly and welcoming place. It's going to be your family for the next 4 years and even after your 4 years. And it will be fun. And although you'll be nervous, everybody else is in the same boat too. Everybody else is alone without friends and in a new place and starting a new chapter in their lives. So just remember that in the back of your mind when you feel nervous and homesick, that everyone is going through that too. But the good news is that you'll have this WhatsApp group. When you're making your travel plans, when you're trying to decide what to pack, you can reach out to us and we will arrange for pickup at the orientation. And let's see if there are any current students here who've joined so I can see if they want to chime in.
I'm here, Kristen.
Oh, okay. Good. Yes. So I'm going to turn it over a little bit to Amna and Lisa to talk about how to prepare during the summer. And Amna, do you want to chime in first? Things that you were feeling as you were getting ready to come to Oh-Wooo, what you were trying to decide to pack and leave at home, preparations you were making, or even if you want to comment on getting the visa, anything at all.
Oh, for sure. I'd like to introduce myself first. My name is Amna and I'm a sophomore here. I'm actually studying computer science and I'm from Pakistan. So first of all, yes, this process can be very daunting. Over the summer, I had to take care of a lot of things. My visa, I had to go for my visa interview. And then I also had to book a ticket. And then because Columbus is a smaller airport, I had to look into the airlines that actually take me to Columbus Airport, which is the John Glenn International Airport, if I'm not wrong. And then I also had to obviously decide what to pack and what not to pack. So for the most part, my packing really involved clothes and just traditional snacks from back home. Also, one more thing for me, like the weather over here is super different from back home. So I really needed warm clothes, but then I decided to get them from here because it's much better. Because it's hard to find thicker clothes back home. So we actually went on a shopping trip with the international club on campus. So they did sponsor a shopping trip for us for winter clothes especially. So I got my warm clothes from there. And then other than that, you don't really need a lot of, like, if you want to cook, then you don't really need a lot of appliances because mostly every residential hall has kitchens. And then for laundry and other stuff, you can always buy that from here. Bedding, you can easily find affordable, cheap bedding here too. Other than that, yeah, just all of your personal stuff and maybe some study items if you want. Yeah, I guess that's about it. I didn't really pack a lot of stuff. It was mostly clothes. Yeah, and just personal items.
Lisa, do you want to add anything about kind of getting ready over the summer, what to think about?
Sure. So good morning again, everyone. I would just encourage, like Amna said, just to keep track of the details. We do have a website. We have a number of websites that will provide information to help you prepare. We have a website that is just focused on what you should be thinking about over the summer. We have a website dedicated to our orientation program, and we have a website dedicated just to arrivals. So I think what Amna mentioned about the airport is critically important. Unfortunately, there are multiple Columbuses in the States. So you want to make sure that you're coming into the John Glenn International Airport in Columbus, Ohio. And I put the airport code in the chat. It's CMH, but that information is also on the website. So just make sure that you're not going to the wrong Columbus. We will arrange for transportation to get you from the airport to campus when you arrive. And we even have some of our upper class students meet you at the airport and make sure that you get to the shuttle. We arrange for a shuttle. And it's not a very big airport, as Amna said. So the good news is that it's not difficult to navigate once you do make your way to Ohio. You likely will go through customs at another airport because usually it's not the first airport of entry or the port of entry. So by the time you get to Columbus, you've already cleared customs and immigration. So I think, I wouldn't book your tickets yet. We're still in the process of negotiating arrival dates. So just again, monitor those websites and keep track of the information that goes up there.
All right. And in case you're wondering over the summer, how do I manage to bring so much with me? You can get a lot here. As Lisa and Amna mentioned, there will be a shopping trip, but also if you want to order anything ahead of time through Amazon, the residence hall has something called an Amazon locker, which is a big storage unit where you can have things directly shipped from Amazon to the Amazon locker. And there it is, it's in your residence hall. But you'll find out more about that later. So let's talk a little bit about orientation. Orientation and move in. You'll have folks helping you move in. You'll get settled into your room. And first, there'll be a couple of days of international orientation to let you kind of get to know one another in a smaller group, kind of get over your jet lag, do some bonding, the shopping trips. And Lisa can also mention what else you'll be doing specific to international orientation. And then after international orientation, there will be Camp Oh-Wooo and orientation for everybody else. So Lisa, do you want to first talk a little bit about the international orientation?
Yes, absolutely. So this is it's a short orientation. It's only a couple days, but we cram a lot into those days. Again, as Kristen said, you'll split into smaller groups. So typically we can have anywhere between 25 to 40 new arrivals. So it's a large group to start off with, but then we break you into smaller groups of 6 or 7 students, and you have a couple, again, NISOLs. We call our orientation NISO, N-I-S-O, New International Student Orientation. And then we have volunteers, upper class students who have been here for a year or two that volunteer, and we call those NISOLs, New International Student Orientation Leaders. And they sort of help you navigate those first couple days that you're on campus. They make sure that you get settled into your room. They make sure you have the Wi-Fi password. They make sure you have bedding, although I recommend that you do, possibly think about ordering that ahead of time. In years past, because of COVID, we've been able to provide that first night's bedding, but we'll have information about that on the website. It's possible that that service may go away, in which case you would want to plan ahead on bedding, because bedding is not provided by the university. The beds are obviously, but the sheets and the blankets and the pillows and that sort of thing, students do buy that on their own. We do have a shopping trip the second day that you're here. So typically arrival days are long, and we just basically get students to the residence halls, make sure they have some snacks, make sure you're sorted. And then the second day is when we kind of get going with activities. So that's typically a shopping day. We also get you into Delaware, the city, so you can get your bearings around town and around campus. We also like to get students to the bank in the first couple days so that they can open banking accounts and deposit any money that you may have brought with you. It's not required. It's not essential that you open a bank account, but a lot of our international students do like to order or open an account in the States. And we have a local bank that we work with that makes that process fairly easy. And then we also help students get SIM cards. Typically students will either purchase those at Walmart or Meijer, where you can get a prepaid plan, or you can go to one of the major cellular carriers here in the US, like Verizon or AT&T or T-Mobile and activate a SIM card through them. So those are a couple of things that we try to do when you first get here. Obviously do a campus tour. We have a couple student panels, upper class again students, to give you more information about their experiences, the activities that you can get involved with. And we also like to introduce you to our other staff on campus that will support you in your time here. So the Academic Resource Center, our counseling services folks. Obviously, you'll get to know the Res Life people as you're moving into the residence halls and that sort of thing. But we just want to make sure that you know the friendly faces on campus that are going to help you during your time at Oh-Wooo. So those are, like I said, it's a quick 2 days. And we try to get as much into that time as possible. But if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I put my email in the chat as well.
Great. So after international orientation, we've got Camp Oh-Wooo. So all of the new first year students are there. I think, do transfer students also participate?
Yep.
So anyone who's new at Oh-Wooo is involved in what's called Camp Oh-Wooo. And there are 3 camps to choose from. One of them is called Wilderness Camp. So you are, I guess, sleeping in tents, you're camping and hiking in the mountains in West Virginia, which is a couple hours away. And just, you might never have done that before, but there are a lot of other students who haven't done it before. And it's just a great bonding experience. It's really fun. There's also adventure camps. So you're not sleeping in tents. I think you're sleeping in cabins. So the accommodations are a little bit nicer than tents, but it's still pretty outdoorsy. And as you can see from this picture here, you're doing all kinds of activities that are kind of about trust building and getting you out of your comfort zone. So lots of adventure type things. And then the third camp that you can choose from, if neither of those sound appealing to you, is, I don't know if we call it city camp or service camp, but it's basically community service projects in the area. So you're bonding over service projects that you're involved in. Anything else you want to add about Camp Oh-Wooo, Lisa?
I would just add that Camp Oh-Wooo is the perfect time to really build some great relationships and, make connections with other students and the facilitators. There's, again, always upper class students that are volunteers. And then there's faculty and staff that also volunteer in the small groups. So you're broken again into smaller groups, but this time you're with all the incoming students at the university. So again, it's a great time. I don't know which camp. Were you able to do a camp with your arrival? No. Yeah.
No, I actually arrived late.
That's right.
Unfortunately, I could not attend
Yeah.
Camp Oh-Wooo, but my friends did, and they had a wonderful experience.
Yeah.
And they said that was a great chance to bond with people and just get to know others around you in the same camp as you.
Yeah. And I see that Muhammad really has enjoyed West Virginia and was able to do the Jamboree there, which is exciting. So I've done the West Virginia Wilderness Camp. I also started the service camp back in 2009 and have volunteered with that numerous times. And adventure camp is just a lot of fun. So they're each unique experiences. And I would encourage you to challenge yourself a little bit, but also, figure out where you think you would best fit. So you'll have an opportunity to designate kind of your first and second and third choice when you fill out your arrival info. Casey, do they do that? Do you know when they fill out their preferences for Camp Oh-Wooo?
I think a lot of it is moving online this year in terms of registration. So at some point over the summer, but I don't know. I just, in conversations, past conversations with folks, it might be towards the first week of July that you have to decide that, but maybe that's just the housing form that's due then. Yeah. So after Camp Oh-Wooo, you kind of get a day to regroup and chill out. Then I think there's a day when you meet with your academic advisor and finalize and put the finishing touches on your course schedule. And then classes begin on August 26th. I can't remember what day convocation is, but that's like a big celebration. It's a welcome to campus. Professors come in their robes, and there's speeches, and it really is a great bonding tradition. And if any of you have parents who think that they might travel with you to the United States, parents attend convocation as well. Anything else you want to say about parents on campus, Lisa, or about the academic advising piece?
Sure. Well, a couple of thoughts. If you do have family traveling in with you, or even if you have family in the States that might want to be around campus those first few days, you will have the new international student orientation first, which is NISO, and likely that will be the second weekend of August. So again, we haven't sorted out the exact arrival dates, but you'll have a day and a half for arrival, like a day and a half window. And then new international student orientation will start for a couple of days. That for the second, third. So I was trying to back up the dates. This is why I don't want to talk dates yet, because they're still sorting out. But I know that Camp Oh-Wooo starts on the 18th, so we can sort of back up from there. But if you have family around, for those 2.5 days that we're doing NISO, we will have some parallel meetings happening during that time. So if you have family in the area and they want to attend some of those meetings, those will be focused specifically for new international student arrivals. And then we will have, in the transition from NISO to Camp Oh-Wooo, convocation will probably happen on that Thursday, which is the 18th, or Friday the 19th. One of those 2 days will be convocation, and then you'll head off to Camp Oh-Wooo. And when you head off to Camp Oh-Wooo, again, if you have family in the area, at that point, there will be less for families to do. So they will probably want to go ahead and plan to leave the area, or, plan their own activities for that time while you're away at camp. We do have lots of hotels. Not many of them are walking distance to campus. So if you do have family in the area, I recommend that they rent a vehicle so that they can get back and forth. There's not housing on campus for families. So once you're, moved into the residence hall, you're really kind of on your own, and your family would need to make accommodations elsewhere. So there's a couple of things I would say about families, but we love to have families around, and we love to meet whomever is accompanying you, and just give them information that they might find relevant. And then the second thing I would add about, once you get through Camp Oh-Wooo, after you get the bonding part and the fun part sorted, then that day or two prior to campus starting, our classes starting on campus, we want to help students make those important academic connections. So you'll be meeting with your academic advisor. You'll have your first session of UC 160, which is our first year seminar. And you'll get a sense of what to expect when it comes to the classroom. So that's really making that transition from friends and residence halls and thinking about extracurriculars to the classroom experience. And what are the faculty like, and what are my classes going to look like, and where are my classes? So you'll have multiple opportunities to sort of map out where your classes are and how you get from one class to the next. But that's really what happens then that Monday and Tuesday prior to classes starting on Wednesday. So I hope that helps you get a sense of what that first week is going to look like for you.
And I just want to mention right now, whether you're somebody who knows exactly what you want to major in, or you have lots of ideas, or you're completely undecided, don't worry about that. You're not locked into majoring in what you put down in your application. I get that question a lot. And you're not even totally locked into what you put as your major in your Form I-20. So if you end up changing your mind, we can change that on your visa as well. And you won't be taking all classes just for your major your first semester. So don't spend lots of time worrying and fretting about what you'll be registering for. That's what advisors are for, and you'll be working on that over the summer. All right, just going to talk about a few more things. Delaware and Columbus, in case you're wondering what it's like. Delaware is a small, safe city of about 40,000 people, which I know sounds very small to most of you. That's probably like a neighborhood where you're from. But in the United States, a city of 40,000 is a pretty decent sized city. And just beyond these trees here, that's where campus is. So it's that close. And you can walk to downtown Delaware in just a few minutes. And it's a safe city. There's a lot to do. There are nearly 50 restaurants and cafes, a movie theater. We even have an entrepreneurship center. There's lots of cute shops. So you'll find yourself easily going into Delaware on a regular basis. There's also a grocery store, a pharmacy within walking distance as well. And depending on what meal plan you get, some of your dining dollars can be used at some of the local restaurants and cafes nearby. And then Columbus is just about 35 minutes away, and that is a big city. So if you need that taste of city life, you're just 35 minutes from Columbus. So this shows you where we are in the United States. We are in the Eastern time zone, even though we get categorized as being in the Midwest. The great thing is you can get to 2/3 of the US and Canada in just an hour-and-a-half flight. So it's a really convenient location. And Pennsylvania is here, New York is here, and we're right in the heart of Ohio. That's probably all I'll say about Ohio. Just a couple more pictures of Delaware. And Amna or Lisa, if you want to add anything about Delaware, things that you enjoy, festivals, community service, anything at all, feel free to just unmute yourself.
I'm curious to hear Amna's favorite spot, if you have a favorite spot in town.
Yeah, definitely. My favorite spot is gonna be this cute cafe in Delaware. It's called Coffeeology. So it's great for coffee if you're a coffee lover. Yeah, you can see that in the picture on the top left. Other than that, there's also a lot of walking restaurants on walking distance. So there's McDonald's, KFC, Wendy's, Domino's, and you can actually use your dining dollars at Domino's depending on what your meal plan is. Other than that, there's also a lot of banks on on the main street. And then I can also think of, yeah, the grocery stores. There's CVS, Walgreens, Big Lots. So if you need anything, you can always walk to those stores. But for a city life experience, if you're a mall person or just, building, if you want to see building city views, you can always drive to Columbus, either with a friend or you could take public transport or Uber.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
Columbus.
oh, go ahead.
Lisa. You go ahead.
I was just going to say with Delaware, I would emphasize that it's very safe. We always recommend if it's late in the evening that you walk with friends, but it's really a 5-minute walk from your residence hall to get into the city. And there's even things to do in the evenings, really nice restaurants and the little movie theater that you can walk to. And then the one thing I would point out, because I think students sometimes miss this, but the first Friday of every month, Delaware hosts an event called First Friday, where the shops are open later and they have activities in the streets. In the warmer months, they actually close the streets and it's like a little street festival. But there are times where, particularly around the winter, beginning of the holiday season, we'll have a First Friday in December where we may have 3,000 to 5,000 people just right at the downtown intersection, which it kind of makes it feel like a bigger city at that point. It's really festive. So I encourage you to get out in the fall before fall break. Usually every Saturday there's a farmer's market, again, that you can walk into the city and see little stalls of people selling flowers and baked goods and some fruits and vegetables and stuff like that, which again is just a fun way to experience kind of America in the small town. So yeah, and now Casey, you can talk about Columbus because there's great things to do there too.
Yeah, and if Tanique, you feel like unmuting yourself and talking about Columbus as well, feel free. But, I think oftentimes folks think about New York City, Los Angeles, Dallas, Boston. Um, Columbus is an amazing city, and it's the 14th largest city in the US. It's the second largest city in the Midwest after Chicago. It's actually bigger than San Francisco, and it's bigger than Cleveland and Cincinnati combined. So there is a lot to do. There's fun things like the zoo and aquarium, lots of great sporting events, more restaurants than you could possibly ever get to in your 4 years at Oh-Wooo, all kinds of different international cuisines. It's a very diverse city, and lots to do. Plus, there's shopping if you need to go get some warm winter clothes. Tanique, what would you like to say about Columbus?
Well, hello, everyone. So glad to be on the call, and I look forward to meeting you in person. My name is Tanique Dennis, and I am here on campus, so hopefully I'll get to see you quite a bit. I'm actually from New York City, big city girl, but I've lived in Ohio for quite some time, actually longer now in Ohio than living in New York. But Columbus, there's obviously a lot of opportunities. It is a big city, but I will say that just about less than 15 minutes from campus, there's an area called Polaris, which has a huge mall, lots of shopping, bowling, lots of eating, great restaurants. So lots of fun things to do in that area. And there's also another kind of mall outdoor area, which is a lot of fun, and a lot of young adults tend to go there, is Easton, which is about 25 minutes from campus. So a variety of things to do, a lot of socialization. And as everyone has mentioned thus far, obviously there is a lot of programming here on campus, and you'll start receiving emails, which it's called the Oh-Wooo Daily. So you will see everything that's happening every day. So you won't feel like you're missing out. So as a student, you also will get into the sporting events for free. So if you're interested in attending any of the 24 varsity sports that we have, as well as a variety of different theater productions and musicals and things of that nature. So again, congratulations, and very excited to meet you all in person soon. And Casey, I need to jump off because I have to get ready for an info session.
Thanks for joining, and thanks for
All
that.
right. Yeah, glad to be here. All right. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
All right, so let's see. Just a couple other things about Columbus. It's been ranked the #1 American city to work in tech, #3 for new graduates to live, work, and play. Great city for STEM jobs, startups, and entrepreneurship. And it is a resource for community service as well as internships. Lisa can talk more about internships and work and things like that. I don't know if you want to do that right now.
I just had to get to the unmute button. Absolutely. So a couple things to keep in mind about our internships and how to arrange with those. So after you've completed your first full year in the US as F1 students, you're eligible for what's called CPT, Curricular Practical Training. And that allows you to participate in internships. And we have an office on campus called Career Connections that are fabulous at helping all of our students connect with local companies to get internships in their majors and in the fields that they're interested in. Kristen mentioned that we are the #1 American city to work in tech, and that is about to get even better because Intel is building a $2 billion microchip plant on the edge of Columbus. And so that is going to probably bring in even more tech companies. And we're really excited that that will be the largest microchip manufacturing facility in the US. And those are really high paying, high skilled jobs. So that's exciting for our students to have those opportunities to work with the companies, not just Intel, but the companies that will surround that and the companies that already exist in Columbus. So whether you're in computer science or business or econ, or even in the social sciences. I think a lot of energy goes to the business sector, but it's also important to remember that there's a vibrant nonprofit sector in Columbus, and social services, psychology. We have creative arts in Columbus. And so if you're interested in those type of opportunities. And then the last thing I'll mention really quickly about internships, particularly for international students, transportation can be a challenge because we don't really have a great public transit network or infrastructure around, Delaware and Columbus. I'm sure that that will improve in the coming years with all the industry. But in the meantime, we are able to support students in their transportation needs. So an example would be one of our international students, Bulbul, had an internship last year in New Albany, which is where Intel is going to be building their factory. She had an internship with another company there, which is about a 35-40-minute drive from campus. And she Ubered both ways, and we were able to cover the cost of her Uber through a connection grant. So I encourage you, if you are connected to an internship, to reach out to us to figure out the best way to support you. But great opportunities all around, both Delaware and Columbus.
All right, let me share my screen again. All right. You'll probably be wondering where you're going to be living. I won't go into a lot of detail because there are actually some great YouTube videos that you can search up. You've probably even been sent the links to the YouTube videos on Smith Hall, but suffice it to say, we just renovated Smith Hall. It's got brand new furniture, game room, workout space, 24-hour dining hall, and all first-year students will be able to live in Smith Hall. And after your first year, you'll have a number of options. You'll be able to choose your own roommate. You can live in another residence hall like this one. This is Stuyvesant. You could live in a suite style housing, which are singles where you have a common living room with friends. There are also small living units, which we call SLUS. Let me see if I can go ahead to a couple slides. Small living units, which are theme houses. So there's tree house for students who are interested in the environment, citizens of the world, house of linguistic diversity, and a number of other houses. And small living units have a kitchen, bedrooms, a living room, and it's like living in off-campus housing style, but it still counts as campus housing. And then we've got senior apartments. This is a picture of the SLUS as well. And then we've got senior apartments. That's something you can look forward to living in. Really nice. They just opened last year with beautiful kitchens and furniture and lounges. So although we do require students to live on campus all 4 years, it's cost saving, it's convenient, and you've got some really great facilities to choose from. And then dining, 24-hour dining in Smith, lots of places to eat on campus. We do have halal food. So if that's a concern for any of you, we've got halal food. And we also mark things clearly if they are vegetarian or vegan, if you follow that diet. And you can also meet with dining services if you need to have any special dietary accommodations, either for allergies or cultural or religious reasons. And Lisa, if you want to jump in at any point, feel free. But I know we're coming to the top of the hour, so. And then you can also use your dining dollars to eat at some places off campus. Let's see, I'm just going to share this last video, and I think this is my last slide that I've got. Maybe I've got one more. Oh, where did it go? Oh. just show you some pictures of the dynamic community. But Amna, I think I'll stop talking now. If there are other things that you want to mention about your experience or things that you were concerned about your first year, whatever else you'd like to share.
So, I mean, I did my first year online, but I did have a first year experience as a sophomore coming here last year. Um, so I just want to mention that there's a huge international community on campus, which was really surprising to me, especially when I found out there's a lot of people from my own country and then some people from my high school too. So yeah, there's this huge welcoming international community on campus that you can always rely on for anything. And then there's also an international club. And because I'm a Muslim, there's this club on campus called Tawheed. So since Ramadan is coming up, I heard that they're planning out some events for us. So I just want to let you know that whatever faith or country you're from, you'll always find someone, and then you'll always be, catered according to that. So I just want to mention that, yeah.
Anything else you want to add, Lisa, about adjustment or campus life?
Yeah, I would just echo what Amna said about our international students are very involved on campus, both in Horizons, which are our international student organization, but also very involved in student government and leaders of different clubs and organizations that involve all students on campus. So I think our international community sort of makes themselves known and are leaders and seen and respected by their peers. So there's great opportunities for you all to get plugged in and to sort of take advantage of those, chances to lead. So and become leaders on campus. So I'm always excited about that. I just want to address, I saw a question in the chat about midnight breakfast and Mohammed's question. And I just, first of all, I want to answer that, but also echo the 24/7 dining on campus. So we do have, food available 24/7. So no matter when you get done studying, you can always hit the residence hall, Smith, where the cafeteria is, and grab a bite. But once a semester, we have a thing called a midnight breakfast where the president and the vice presidents and other faculty and staff will sort of serve breakfast to students at midnight. It's more of a, festivity or a celebration at the end of the semester. It's during exam week. It really is just a fun time to get together. They have trivia contests and it's kind of a raucous time. So that's what midnight breakfast is. But you could eat breakfast at midnight in Smith, I suppose, if you wanted to. I don't know what the food selection looks like at midnight, but there's food available anytime you need it.
Oh, and there's a question about housing during breaks. Lisa, do you want to address that?
Yeah, so during the mid-semester breaks, like fall break and spring break, housing is provided. You're welcome to stay on campus, but you're also welcome to travel during those breaks. The fall break is a little bit shorter at 5 days, and spring break is a full week. However, the end of semester breaks, so the break over winter break and the summer break, housing is not included in your housing fees. So it is available and students can request that at an additional fee if you don't plan to travel home for the winter break or if you don't plan to go visit friends or family over the winter break. But a handful of students will stay on campus. We don't really recommend staying over the winter break just because it's about 3 or 4 weeks and there's not a whole lot going on. We don't have dining services available during those breaks. So if at all possible, we recommend that students kind of make plans. But again, in a pinch, and particularly over COVID, we did house some international students who were unable to travel over those longer breaks. But the mid-semester breaks during the school year or during the academic terms, you are able to stay on campus.
Mm-hmm. And I have heard all kinds of stories from students who've been invited to their roommates or their friends' homes for some of the shorter breaks or for part of the winter break. So, that you might get lucky and that might happen. But there is a 2-week period in the winter break when we are actually closed, and even we are not working. So you have to keep that in mind. Could be
I will say real quick, sorry, you don't have to move your stuff out though over winter break. So winter break, you are able to keep your belongings in your room. So you don't have to pack everything up and leave. Now at the end of the school year, over the summer break, you do have to pack and store your belongings. And oftentimes students will move, rooms every year. So a lot of times it's packing up everything, because in the next year you'll have a new housing assignment.
Yeah, well, that brings me to the end of the slideshow.